So in this week's class, we discussed the topic of activism, and when I was first prompted to think about this topic, I couldn't help but think about nothing other than, protests and focus groups and things like that. To be honest, I didn't really know much on the topic, which is why I suppose I was pretty interested to jump into this week's discussion and learn a bit more about it. I first researched what exactly activism means, and Merriam-Webster Dictionary online stated that activism is a doctrine or practice that emphasizes direct, vigorous action, especially in support of an opposition to one side of a controversial issue. So, looking at that definition, I guess the sole meaning of activism in retrospect is, about someone or a group of people having a strong opinion against the most popular attitude. Rethinking the idea of activism, I suppose it's all about an individual pushing for some sort of social or political change that's more on, the controversial side. I think activism has a lot to do with the issue of power and people wanting to push for change that gives a certain social group more power and ability in a certain area. I am aware that there are thousands of issues that are subject to activism, but I believe that the most prominent and well-known matters that activists push for involves things like feminism, climate change, gun laws, and things like that. And when you've also got your extremist groups such as ISIS, and I think when looking at activism, rather than as a community looking at what makes sense in what activists do, we need to more focus on managing the issues that could be a result of the push for social or political change, and focus on damage control and damage limitations that could come out of, activists' actions. If someone's pushing for an idea or change and is doing it in a way that could harm people or its surroundings, say during something like a protest or a rally, I think it's important that we as a community are on the ball with the safety of those in a circumstance of risk, rather than trying to understand, their train of thought against a certain attitude. I suppose an example of activism that has been brought about this week that significantly circled social media, and I feel like everyone's talking about it, is the comments made by the world-famous Kanye West about topics such as slavery. Kanye West caused outrage amongst civil rights activists and fellow musicians due to comments in which he implied black people were to blame for their enslavement. It is an interview with online newspaper, I believe, that said that where he said that when you hear about slavery for 400 years, it sounds like a choice, and that's like we're mentally in prison. He later then went on to say, even though he knows slaves did not get shackled and put in on a boat for free, his point was for everyone to have stayed in that position for so long, we're on our side, for so long, it means that we were mentally inside. I don't really sort of get the whole what exactly his point was. I think a lot of people were a bit confused, but basically, he was pushing, saying that black slavery and things like that sort of happened for a reason. And I don't know about you, and I might sound stupid saying this, but I personally had no idea that something like this is an example of activism. And it just goes to show how much people are pushing for political and social change, even in today's society, which stands as a democratic government. So I guess it goes to show how far people can go and aren't afraid to push for what they believe in under their human rights for the freedom of speech. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much.